Imagine for a moment that within you exists an ancient current, a living river of divine power silently flowing beneath your awareness. It moves through every cell, every heartbeat, every breath you take. It's not something you have to earn, learn, or seek outside of yourself. It's already there, waiting for you to remember it. You see, before you were born, before you even had a name or a story, that current was already alive within you. It is the spark of God, the same energy that created stars, oceans, and galaxies. But somewhere along the way, you forgot. The world taught you to look outward for light, to search for meaning in noise, validation, and comparison. And in doing so, you became disconnected from the greatest secret of all, that you are the vessel of divine energy. This isn't poetry, it's spiritual physics. Every human body is a sacred instrument designed to channel divine force. Your spine, your breath, your heart, they are not random biological features. They are gateways to the source. And when these gateways awaken, when your inner energy begins to move freely again, you don't just feel alive, you remember who you are. But here lies the hidden truth. This sacred energy, this divine current, was never meant to be awakened carelessly. It is the forbidden energy, the same force that ancient civilizations guarded with symbols, codes, and sacred rituals. They knew that divine power in unprepared hands could create imbalance, desire, even madness. So they veiled it, not to keep it from you, but to ensure that only those who walk with humility and awareness could find it. Throughout history, mystics called it by many names. In the East, it was known as Kundalini, the serpent of light sleeping at the base of the spine. In Egypt, it was the Jed, the pillar of life, symbolizing the awakening of divine energy within the human form. In Christianity, it was the Holy Spirit, the fire that descends and transforms the heart. Different names, one truth. This energy is not separate from you, it is you. It is the breath of God moving through flesh, waiting to be remembered. When dormant, it keeps you asleep, bound by fear, doubt, and the illusion of separation. But when awakened, it reconnects you to your divine blueprint. The state of unity, power, and peace you were always meant to live in. Think about it. Every time you feel a surge of inspiration, every time love fills your chest so deeply that you forget yourself, that is the current moving. Every moment of silence, when your thoughts fade and something greater shines through, that is the current whispering. Every time your intuition knows before your mind does, that is the current guiding. But this energy cannot be forced. You cannot demand divinity, you can only allow it. And that's where most seekers fall. They chase enlightenment like a possession, when true awakening is surrender. A remembering, not a conquest. The first step to awakening this energy is not through ritual or breath alone. It begins with awareness. You must learn to listen, not with your ears, but with your being. Become silent enough to feel the movement beneath your thoughts. That subtle hum, that warmth in your belly, that pulse in your spine. It's not imagination. It's the divine frequency awakening, and once you feel it, your life begins to shift. Not because you gain something new, but because you lose everything false. Your fears start to dissolve, your desires transform into purpose. Your loneliness becomes communion. The more you allow the current to rise, the more the universe begins to align with you. You stop chasing, you start receiving. The right people appear not by coincidence, but by resonance. Situations unfold not by luck, but by vibration. You realize that your energy, not your effort, shapes your world. That's the secret ancient mystics understood. Creation doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your frequency. You don't manifest by demanding, you manifest by becoming. You attract not through thought, but through vibration. So the real question isn't how to get what you want. The question is What are you vibrating right now? Because that vibration is your prayer. And the universe always answers prayers written in frequency, not words. When you start to honor this truth, something miraculous happens. The sacred energy that once slept begins to awaken softly. You may feel tingling sensations, warmth, or emotion rising unexpectedly. Don't fear it, don't analyze it. It's your body remembering its divine design. The ancients said this energy moves like a serpent, not because it's dangerous, but because it's wise. It moves only where truth is allowed to flow. If you cling to fear, it waits. If you open in trust, it ascends. It climbs your spine, passing through the temples of your body, the energy centers where your emotions, your memories, and your light are stored. And as it rises, it purifies. Everything false begins to burn away. This is why it was called forbidden. Because once you awaken it, you cannot go back to sleep. The illusion of who you thought you were begins to dissolve. You start to see the patterns, the lies, the false attachments. The truth becomes undeniable. And truth, once felt, cannot be forgotten. So if you've felt a calling within lately, if you've sensed that something ancient is trying to awaken through you, it's not your imagination, it's remembrance. Your soul is knocking on the door of your body, asking to return home. The question is, will you open it? When the sacred current begins to stir within you, the first thing it touches is not your power, it's your shadow. Before light ascends, it must pass through the places where darkness has been hiding. This is the law of inner alchemy. Nothing pure can rise until what is impure is seen, embraced, and released. At first, it feels subtle, a wave of emotion you can't explain, sudden memories resurfacing, or a heaviness in your heart that has no clear reason. These are not punishments. They are purifications. The divine energy is moving through the hidden rooms of your being, dusting off the corners you've long ignored. Every fear you've buried, every wound you've denied, every false belief you've carried, all begin to surface. Because the current cannot flow freely through what you refuse to face. Many seekers stop here. They feel the discomfort and think they are failing. But in truth, this is the very moment they are being remade. The serpent of light is not destroying you, it's cleansing you. The ache you feel is the breaking of chains. The chaos is sacred order rearranging itself. Imagine your soul as a great river. When it's blocked by stones of guilt, shame, resentment, the water stagnates. But when you allow the current to rise, the river clears itself. And in that clearing, you begin to hear the song of your own divinity again. This is the trial of light. Not a battle against darkness, but a reconciliation with it. Because in truth, darkness is not the enemy. It's only light forgotten, and every shadow that surfaces in you is simply asking to be seen with compassion. The ancients knew this process well. They spoke of the dark night of the soul, a sacred passage through which every initiate must walk. It's the moment when the old self dies so that the true self may rise. It's the silence between two heartbeats, the space between who you were and who you are becoming. And though it may feel like loss, it is actually birth. As this energy climbs your spine, it passes through the temples of your body, the 7 luminous centers. Each one holds a piece of your human story: survival, desire, will, love, truth, vision, and spirit. And as the energy awakens each center, the illusions that kept you small begin to crumble. At the base of your spine, you may feel the trembling of old fears, the instinct to control, to protect, to survive. Breathe. The divine current is teaching your body to trust again. In the sacred center of creation, it meets your desires, the raw energy of life itself. Here, it asks, will you continue to chase pleasure that fades, or will you learn to transmute it into love that endures? In your solar plexus, it ignites your inner fire, your willpower, your confidence, your purpose. And it whispers, true power is not domination, but direction, not control, but alignment. When it reaches your heart, something beautiful happens. The fire softens into light. You begin to feel the pulse of compassion, not as an idea, but as your true nature. Forgiveness ceases to be effort. It becomes instinct. You see others not as enemies or reflections of your wounds, but as fellow travelers of the same divine current. And when this energy rises higher, through your throat, your vision, your crown, you begin to remember why you came to earth. You realize that your body was never a prison. It was a temple, the living altar of divine experience, and your soul chose it not to suffer, but to create through it. Yet this journey is not without its tests, because when divine energy rises, the ego trembles. It senses its end and begins to fight for survival. It will whisper doubts, fears, and comparisons. It will tempt you to return to the noise of the world, to seek comfort in distraction. But each time you choose silence over noise, presence over reaction, love over judgment. The serpent climbs higher, and slowly your inner landscape transforms. The chatter in your mind begins to quiet. The emotions that once ruled you start to obey you. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer doubt, you know. This is the birth of inner mastery, a state where you no longer need to prove your worth because you feel your worth vibrating in every breath. You no longer search for meaning because your very existence becomes meaning itself. But remember this, the forbidden energy is not meant to make you special. It's meant to make you whole. If you seek it for power, it will burn you. If you honor it with love, it will bless you. It knows the difference because it is the divine within you. So let the energy teach you. Let it shape you, dissolve you, rebirth you. Surrender to its rhythm. You will notice synchronicities begin to unfold, not as coincidences, but as confirmations. You'll meet souls that feel like déjà vu, as if you've known them for lifetimes. Your dreams will become clearer, your intuition sharper. The universe will start speaking in whispers only your heart understands. This is how you know the current is awakening fully, because the outer world begins to reflect your inner light. Your vibration becomes your language, and everything that resonates with your truth begins to flow toward you effortlessly. But this awakening also comes with responsibility. For every rise in vibration brings greater clarity, and with clarity comes choice. You will see what no longer aligns with you, habits, relationships, even environments. Let them go with grace. What leaves your life after awakening was never meant to stay, and what remains will be purified by love. In this process, patience becomes sacred, because divine energy doesn't rush. It unfolds like dawn, slowly, beautifully, inevitably. You cannot force the sun to rise faster. You can only open your eyes to witness it. So be gentle with yourself. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not lost. You are remembering. And every moment you choose presence over fear, you strengthen your connection with the source that flows through you. The forbidden energy isn't a mystery to solve, it's a melody to remember, and it's been singing in you since the beginning of time. The question now is not if it will rise, but how deeply you will allow it to move through you. When the sacred current finally rises to its full height, it doesn't explode into light, it expands into silence. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence that holds all sound, all truth, all creation. It is the moment when the serpent of energy, after climbing through the temples of the body, reaches the crown, and the human remembers that they were never separate from the divine. In this sacred union, thought and awareness merge. The seeker disappears and only presence remains. There is no more striving, no more seeking, no more asking for signs. Because now you are the sign. You become the living echo of creation itself, breathing, vibrating, existing as the universe expressing its own perfection through you. But this state is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of a new one, the life of the awakened human, one who walks among others not as a teacher, but as a mirror. Not to preach, but to vibrate. Because in truth, the awakened being doesn't convince. They resonate. Their presence becomes medicine. Their silence becomes teaching. Their existence becomes prayer. This is what it means to live with the forbidden energy awakened, to let the divine flow through your every breath without control, without pride, without fear. The great masters never claimed to own this power. They allowed it to own them. They lived as channels of divine intelligence, moving through life with a quiet strength that no chaos could shake. You too were meant to live this way. You were never meant to crawl through life searching for fragments of peace. You were meant to stand as peace itself, not because your circumstances are perfect, but because your vibration is unshakable. Because you've remembered what the world forgot, that the divine current isn't found in temples or scriptures, but in the very rhythm of your being. When you live from this awareness, even the simplest actions become sacred. Drinking water feels like communion. Walking feels like prayer. Speaking truth feels like creation. You begin to see that there is no separation between spirit and matter, heaven and earth, body and soul. All are threads of the same tapestry, woven by the same divine hand. And yet, the ego will still try to return. It will whisper softly, "You're enlightened now. You've made it." But true awakening has no crown to wear. It has only service. To vibrate at a higher level is not to rise above others. It's to lift others with your light. To awaken is to remember that the divine in you recognizes the divine in all. It's to bow before every soul you meet, knowing they too carry the same hidden current, even if they've forgotten. The more you live in alignment with this truth, the more life rearranges itself around you. Not as a reward, but as reflection. Everything begins to flow with purpose. What you once chased, you now attract effortlessly. The pain you once resisted becomes wisdom. The people you once feared become mirrors. The obstacles you once cursed become initiations. Because when your vibration remains high, reality no longer happens to you. It happens through you. This is the mastery the ancients spoke of, not magic tricks or powers, but the ability to stay rooted in divine consciousness no matter what the world presents. To walk through fire without being burned, to face storms and remain still, to lose everything you thought you were and yet feel richer than ever before. The forbidden energy God hid inside your body is not forbidden because it's dangerous. It's forbidden because it's sacred, because it demands honesty, humility, and surrender. It strips away everything false until only truth remains. It asks you to stop pretending, stop hiding, stop performing, and simply be. And in that state of being, you discover the real miracle, that God was never outside you, waiting for your devotion. God was the current flowing through your veins all along. So, how do you live with this awareness? You live gently, you breathe deeply, you listen more than you speak, you bless more than you judge, you create more than you consume. You love more than you fear, and when you forget, because you will, you return. You close your eyes, place a hand on your heart, and remember the pulse beneath your skin. That pulse is not yours. It's the rhythm of the universe moving through you. Every inhale is the divine entering. Every exhale is the divine expressing. You are both the receiver and the giver of this sacred energy. You are not the drop separated from the ocean. You are the ocean remembering itself as a drop. And so the great circle closes. The seeker who once searched outside now turns inward. The energy that once slept now sings. The soul that once longed to awaken now radiates as the living light of God. You've always been the temple. You've always been the prayer. You've always been the answer you were looking for. The forbidden energy is not forbidden anymore, it's awake. And it's you. So as you finish this journey, don't just understand it, embody it. Walk with quiet confidence, speak with clarity, love with depth. Let your vibration be your testimony, because when you live as light, you don't need to convince anyone that the divine is real. They will feel it, They will see it. They will remember through you what their soul has been longing to recall. And perhaps one day when they ask, "Where did you find this peace?" you will smile and say, "I didn't find it. I remembered it."